What's up? Welcome back to my office. Today we are live covering different questions asked in the comment section of my video. So if there's something that you really need to know, not only do I want you to watch the video so you can implement it and obviously get results, right? But I want you to comment those questions and I will either include it in a video, a live, or we'll answer it right there on YouTube, all right? So we're gonna start with number one. Are there certain hacks for credit repair or credit sweeps that can be used to make things come off faster? Well, unfortunately, no, there's not, right? Now, before you go and click out of this and go somewhere else, let me explain so that you can learn something here and obviously overcome this so that you can actually increase your credit score and remove your negative items. Don't you think with my 8-year documented journey proving and showing and explaining to you that there's no other way to remove negative items quicker than this, that I would just cut through that red tape and explain it to you and show it to you and give it to you because then I'd be able to leverage it to, become a bazillionaire? Like, I want to be on Oprah. I want to beat the president. I want to, do all these things that obviously would actually occur if I could come up with some instant overnight cure to bad credit. And I know that you're probably not talking about some instant, cure to bad credit, but everybody's looking for shortcuts. And unfortunately with this, there are no shortcuts. You see, let's just look at the alternative. The alternative to factual disputes and credit sweeps is going to be regular credit repair or utilizing an illegal method like identity theft, right? And when you do that, not only are you going to put yourself in legal jeopardy, right? Or you're going to get yourself sued if it's not, going to jail for 6 months for fraud, but these things are not going to come off your credit report. Look, negative items you can't even pay to get them off. So that whole pay for delete thing only works with 2% of companies. So with only 2% of companies allowing you to pay them to remove the negative items, that's got to tell you something there that, hey, this is probably something that's going to take me some time to remove, right? Just think about how long it took you to get to the point you are right now with your negative items. How long did it take you to originally build your credit? How long did it take you to then come up with those negative items? And then how long did it take you to wait to do something about it? Are we 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road? So don't you think that you would want to take just a fraction of that time and put it into the, one of the top 3 things that literally get you everything, right? I mean, we have health, we have, family and, actually making income, and then we have our credit, right? Just look at what credit gives you or allows you to get when you do it the right way, when you get your credit score where it needs to be. So if you want to get a house, you need to have the credit to get there. If you want to get a car, you have to have the credit to get there. If you want to move out of your apartment or get an apartment or get your first whatever, all these things are stipulated based on your credit report. So if it were as simple as just sending in a couple of disputes or, one dispute or 14 days or 16 days or 60 days, whatever, dude, lenders would stop lending. And you hear me say this all the time, but I want to drill this home, okay? The bureaus can't speak for the creditors and lenders and collectors' money, okay? There would be no debt collection industry. And again, I would be the first person not only to cut through that red tape, but to deserve to cut through that red tape because I've never taken any shortcuts. Never, ever in my 12 years of doing this, again, 8 years alone on YouTube, have I ever taken any shortcuts. And every single time you take a shortcut, it's going to eventually lead you back to where you started, except for with your credit, it's going to take you even further back because the longer you dispute, the harder it is to remove those negative items. And no, I am not ranting right now. These are things that you need to listen to so that you can make the adjustments to get those negative items off your credit report. And what that means is disputing the right way. You can't just point out inaccuracies. That's not enough, okay? You actually have to know what it is that you're talking about. Why is the date last active and the date last paid more important than the open date? What does the date last reported mean? Why is the notice of dispute important? What does the payment history have to do with anything? And which one is more important than the other? And how do they influence each other? If you cannot answer those questions, then this is something that you want to travel back through my videos and learn about because these are the things that are going to get you the results. Listen, it would be so easy for me to automate a system that just spits out 609 letters and, using 1681 and blah, 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 verify this. But that is not going to get me or my clients where I need to be or where they need to be. And where they need to be is having those negative items come off so that they can build and increase their credit scores, right? Because obviously we're going for that end result, and that end result is getting into that house, getting into that, the mortgage, the vehicle, the better jobs, all that kind of stuff, okay? So when you see these places and these people in these courses telling you that it's as simple as sending out a letter, you need to stop, have those red flags pop up and say, hey, I know it's not that simple, okay? And no, it's not my job to explain this. It's not my timing. It's the bureaus, right? And this is a system, but this system was not made for us. But just as with, the criminal justice system, they have keys at the bottom of all these, laws and everything. Our key is using those facts, right? So I hope that explained why there are no hacks. But the one that you should be concerned about is disputing the right way using factual disputes, backing up your arguments, taking all the information directly from the credit report. That leads me to number 2. Where should I pull my credit report so that I can see side-by-side reports every 30 days? Well, the answer to that is really simple, and in the description when I am done with this, I will put the links to Identity IQ and to Smart Credit. And yes, those are a bit of a caveat here, my affiliate links. Why am I giving you my affiliate links? Well, these are the 2 things that I use for my clients. It has nothing to do with them actually being affiliate links and everything to do with that is the information that is going to be used for factual disputes. People ask all the time, can't I just use Credit Karma? Can't I use Experian? Can't I use, all these different ones? Yeah, you can if you want to dispute for the rest of your life. But if you actually want to target the reason why these negative items need to come off your credit report, then dude, use Smart Credit or Identity IQ, even if you don't want to use my links, okay? So that was number 2. Number 3 is whether to correct personal information first. Now, I will tell you that in 2019, I came out with a video because this was actually working at that time where I said, hey, if you go and get a new address, change your address, dispute your personal information and get those removed, now you're going to be able to remove your accounts significantly faster because there will be no geographical code that attaches the negative item to, your personal information. However, dude, 3 years ago, okay, these things change in the financial industry and specifically with credit all the time. Like something that worked 3 weeks ago, 3 months ago is probably not working right now. You actually have to invest the time into learning so that you can change with the times. And unfortunately, when you dispute your personal information now, you would be very lucky to actually be able to remove those addresses and the phone numbers and whatever that are attaching that negative item to your account. So having said that, that is not something that you are probably going to want to start off with because you're just going to be wasting time. And in the financial industry, everything is time, which is why I come up with these videos to answer these questions and to show you how it works. Because if you get on a call with me, now we're talking about consulting fees, okay? We're not talking about asking a free question because I do not do phone calls for free questions. Speaking of which, number 4, I think it's number 4. Am I taking on new clients? Yes, this is what I do, okay? This is what I do. So for the past 12 years, I have been professionally fixing credit reports for consumers, not business, only personal, okay? So if this is something that you don't want to do, because yes, you can totally screw it up and not be able to go get all these different things that you need to get, and obviously just needing to have good credit, right? If you don't want to do it yourself, or you don't have the confidence or the time to learn to invest in yourself so that you can actually dispute the right way, then head over to my740.com. It's going to be somewhere, and schedule a call with me and I will see if I can help, all right? And that is where I am literally doing the entire thing for you because, like, dude, I have a PhD in finance. Like, I am literally Dr. Kristen Vargas, okay? I know what I'm doing. I am certified as an expert with scores and credit, and I get the results and I prove it to you, okay? So let's move on. All right. Is there a difference between validation of debt and method of verification? Yes, they are 2 totally different things. Debt validation, validation of debt, series and method and process is where you are reaching out directly to the collector, not the debt buyer. We're not reaching out to Portfolio or Midland or Cavalry or Second Round. No. If it's within the statute of limitations and you do that, like, don't be surprised when they are knocking on that door and they are serving you papers, okay? You do not want to reach out to them. That is not how we remove these. We are contacting the actual collector directly and utilizing 807 of the FDCPA and 623 of the FCRA. So the key to that method is actually the notice of dispute, okay? It has nothing to do with any paperwork, because anything that they send you is going to be absolute BS. We are actually just looking for that notice to be entered into your credit report, and if you contact the bureaus first about it, they are 9 times out of 10 going to enter it, okay? So method of verification is literally just, we're like, hey, how did you verify this? Now, is this an actual like dispute letter template that you're going to send? No, you should never be sending something you did not write right then, either for yourself or for your client. If you are sending out something either consistently that you're just changing your name or your client's information or whatever, it's automatically going to be verified without any investigation. Why is that? Well, we're actually leading into another answer here, but we're going to tie the two things together. You have to understand the actual process with the bureaus. When your letter gets to the bureaus, it's opened by a computer. It is put into a scanner. The scanner reads the letter if it can, and if it cannot, it goes to a human who will also turn it into a 2 to 3 digit code and go into the EOSR system. If it can be read, it's going to be turned into a 2 to 3 digit code and go over to the data furnisher for an actual investigation. When I say investigation, we're not talking about an actual like, okay, well, this person wrote this, so all right, we have this and this, let's compare it, and we're going to, all right, so now, yep, we have this comparison, nope, this is not correct. No, dude, an investigation is an automated thing that happens between two computers where they are literally comparing their database against another database and saying, hey, is that what you have? Yes, that is what I have. Okay, it's automatically verified as accurate. If you go and look through the e-Oscar and investigations process documentation, which can be found online if you know what you're doing, it literally teaches them how to come up with an algorithm, coding and programming and all of that, so that when they receive something, it can be automatically read on the data furnisher's end as well, so that it can spit back certain answers, verified, corrected, deleted, so on and so forth, right? Now, let's just say that they can't verify it. What's going to happen? Well, it's going to be removed. Now, is that very likely? No, it is not very likely, right? You actually have to send multiple disputes over multiple months to get these deletions. And depending on what it is, it can be anywhere between 8 and 18 months. Now, having said that, 12 months is my maximum, but a lot of companies do not have maximums, okay? You could be disputing for 4 years. As long as that money is going into their account, that is all they care about, okay? That leads us into another thing. Let me just wrap this one up real quick. Method of verification. When you are writing your letter, that first paragraph that says, please investigate, blah, 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 it can also include one sentence that says, how did you verify these accounts? You stated that it was verified. How did you verify these accounts? Right? That is, what is your method of verification? What was your method of verification for these accounts that you came back and said verify? Now, you're still going to, on the middle part of your letter, you're going to include the accounts and an individual dispute reason per each of those accounts. So you are not writing a method of verification letter. You are just asking in that letter. Now, another thing is, how often should you be disputing? Let's just say that you sent out a letter right now, 3 days later or 4 days later, you get a response from Experian that says verified as accurate. Does this mean now you can go and send another dispute? No, it does not. There has to be 30 days in between when they received your letter and when they receive the next one, because otherwise they are going to say additional information received from consumer, and they're going to tack on another 15 days. All right. So speaking of time, let's go back and talk about timing. So how long does it normally take to remove certain accounts? Well, I'm going to give you timing prior to the pandemic and timing currently over the last 2 years, okay? We're going to make this part a little bit shorter. So timing prior to the pandemic, utilities, medical, judgments, tax liens, average of 30 days. And, 90 days if it was difficult, right? Now we're talking about at least 3 months. Okay, why is that? Well, we're going to talk about that in a second. Now, we're talking about late payments and inquiries. It used to be an average of 4 months. Now it's an average of 6 months. Charge-offs, collections, foreclosures, repossessions used to be an average of 6 months. Now it is an average of 9. Bankruptcy and student loans haven't really changed. They've always been 9 to 12, and some of them are just impossible. Now, why did that timing change in between then and now? Well, the answer to this is very simple, and you have to think about this from a business perspective, okay? And I'm not talking about, with the Bureau's business perspective, I'm talking about business in general, okay? So the Bureaus now receive 1.5 million disputes. They used to receive about 150 to 180,000, okay? So with this significant increase, right, over 10 times of their disputes, what do you think they should be doing as a business if their job is to get rid of you as fast as possible? You also have to think about the cost of postage, right? So for them to respond just for one round to 1.5 million disputes, because that's what they're getting per month per bureau, it would cost them about $765,000 in postage to respond to those, that one letter. And you want them to consistently respond. You're not paying for the postage. You're not sending a self-stamped addressed envelope. No, you are saying, I demand a response to the stuff that I didn't pay that I want to get off my credit report, and I'm just complaining about it. Let's just call it what it is, right? No, their job is to get rid of you as fast as possible. And again, from a business perspective, the fastest way to do that is to ignore you. So another thing that people are asking is, why am I not getting responses right now? Even my clients ask that. And the answer to this is really simple. It's what I just explained to you. It is much more profitable for them to keep that $765,000 in their organization than it is to pay that to tell you that the account is verified. Because eventually you're going to go away. You're not going to be knocking on a door 24 hours a day and just stand there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. No, eventually you're going to leave when they don't open that door, right? Now, the smart consumer or the smart business owner or person who processes disputes for their clients is going to know that eventually that door will open, right? They can only, ignore you for so long. Now, what you need to do is know how to get that door to be open. And that is where this knowledge gap is for many people, right? Because a lot of people think that just because there's a law that says that they have to respond to you means that they actually are going to respond to you or the negative item is going to be removed. No, we're not dealing with, criminal law. We're dealing with consumer law. And the bureaus treat this law like it is a guideline because there's nobody that's forcing them to do anything. The only way to force them to do something is to actually make a stand and change the way that things happen. We'll go back through history. How did things get changed? People actually had to do something to make that change occur, right? Like sitting at the front of a bus, right? And no, I'm not saying anything about anything. I'm just saying that's the one that stands out in my mind because I was reading a book about something yesterday and it was in there. So anyways, if we want to make a change, we have to be the ones to do it. And the only way to do it is to know how to go about this process. And the only way to know how to go about this process is to study the proper information. And when you study the proper information, it can't be from an unreliable source, okay? I've been proving to you time and time again over years that this is what gets the results. And if you just took a fraction of the time that you put into screwing up your credit, I promise you, you'd be able to increase your credit score and your results and all that kind of stuff. So what should you be doing right now? You should be learning why something is more important than the other, what these inaccuracies mean, what signifies date last reported? What does that mean? What is the date last active? What is the date last paid? And why, and I'm tying this back to the beginning, why are these more important than the other, okay? So, excuse me. Again, like I said, eventually they are going to do their job, but because they treat this like it is a guideline and, there's nobody that's arresting them for not doing their job, you have to go beyond what you think is what and actually, force them to do their job. And you do that by continuously disputing, building a paper trail, and eventually you will be heard. And if you don't, you can go to the CFPB. That's another thing. When should I be going to the CFPB? Well, you should be going to the CFPB after you built that paper trail and you've exhausted your remedies and you've built up all these different violations in their failure to respond or the response is saying that it's verified and your proof that it is not, that your proof that it is not accurate and your proof that they said that it was. All these things go into your paper trail and now you can use these to go to the CFPB with your full case and get your results because there's going to be nothing for them to say other than, he or she is right. We're going to remove these things from the report because we don't want to be sued. Speaking of lawsuits, look at all the different, lawsuits against the bureaus and not even just against the bureaus, but against credit repair companies for telling you things that are not true, right? So you wonder if why is it that Kristen tells you nothing other than, hey, this is possible, but you have to do it the right way. Hey, this is possible, but it's going to be difficult. Hey, this is possible, but blah, blah, blah. I am not going to be the one that gets sued by the CFPB and the AG and the BBB and all of that for telling people things that don't exist. There is no 45-day process. There is no 14-day process. There is no 90-day process. There is no way to force the bureaus, creditors, or collectors to do anything. There is no guaranteed way to remove negative items from your credit report, because if there were, not only again would I be cutting through that red tape and utilizing it, but there would be one of me at every mortgage place, loan office, dealership, and all of that. I used to work at a dealership. I told you before, I worked at Nehmer Volkswagen in Troy, New York. Latham, New York. It was on Troy Schenectady Road. So anyways, why is that relevant? Well, it's relevant because not only was I a salesperson there, right? I literally sold cars, but then I went and I had to process all the paperwork a little bit later on when I changed into administrative, right? So I was the accounts payable receivable. And when I did sales, I literally had people all day that were not approved and they had to leave. And I just wasted all these different hours going through all this stuff with them when, wouldn't it have been as simple as have one of me sitting next to the finance office, where, hey, we're going to process your documentation at the same time so that, 14 days later you can come back and get your car and dude, no, that doesn't exist, right? And look at a mortgage. With a mortgage, they give you the references for your inspection and the appraisal and this and that and this and that, but never will you get someone who says, well, go and talk to Sally. Sally works with me in my office, and Sally's going to remove your negative items so that, when your mortgage actually closes, now we're going to have the score that we need, and you're going to be able to do what you got to do. It's going to be X amount of money that you have to pay us. And you know what? Guess what? It's actually going to be free, because that means that we make our commission and all that kind of stuff. No. They give you all these references, and they have all these people who work together within this organization and all these different, affiliates and all that kind of stuff. But they will never, ever, ever have someone that does credit repair, because the results are so inconsistent. It is not guaranteed. There's no specific timing, and you might not remove anything. And then now they just spent all this money to get you to go through the process, and you know what? They can't get it. So, anywho, I actually made this longer than I wanted to, so I will continue with some other questions some other day. But if there is something that you really want to know about, post it on any of my videos. It all drops into the same inbox so that I can see them, so that I can make another live or video like this. All right, so anywho, if you do want to remove your negative items the right way and you don't want to do it yourself, like I said, use the link at the top of your screen. Go to my740.com, schedule a call with me, and I will see if I can help. All right, so that is it for today. I hope you have a great one. It is raining over here, and so I guess that means my kids are not going to go outside and play today. So anywho, I will see you later. Have a wonderful, prosperous rest of your week and a great weekend coming. So bye.